The film begins with Jin Young, a brave and skilled young prosecutor who stands out from his polished and charming colleague. Despite his unimpressive appearance, Jin Young's courage and abilities are formidable. He once excelled in kendo, but turned to law after becoming disillusioned by corruption in the sport. This shift fueled his passion for justice. Now, he is a respected prosecutor known for his martial arts prowess. After catching a corrupt individual, his boss reprimands him for overstepping his bounds. Writing apology letters has become routine for Jin Young, who often feels frustrated with his assignment. However, he becomes deeply intrigued by a high-profile murder case involving a young woman killed by a delivery man who openly confessed. Jin Young senses something amiss and cannot accept the confession at face value, despite overwhelming evidence and the killer's admission. In the criminal division, Jin Young is an unconventional figure. He rarely mingles with his colleagues, and his carefree attitude irritates his boss. One evening, at a social event, Jin Young meets a left-handed person, leading him to a clue about the case. Suddenly, he suspects a connection between the murder and a left-handed suspect. During a meal at the deputy prosecutor's office, excessive drinking disrupts the atmosphere, but Prosecutor Kim tries to restore order. The next day, Jin Young reviews the detective's notes on the case. He discovers that the detective overlooked the suspect's left-handedness and panics when Jin Young requests the interrogation video. Jin Young cleverly obtains the detective's phone to find crucial information. Prosecutor Shin orders him to proceed with a prosecution, but Jin Young refuses, determined to reinvestigate. His persistence pays off when Prosecutor Kim permits him to dig deeper. By hacking the detective's phone, Jin Young uncovers incriminating evidence and kidnaps the detective to get more information. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Kim faces criticism for allowing Jin Young to investigate. Deputy Chief Prosecutor Lee pressures Kim to close the case quickly, increasing Kim's suspicions. Jin Young proposes a new investigation with the information from the kidnapped detective. Confronting the suspect, who insists on their guilt, Jin Young faces growing public scrutiny. Eventually, Prosecutor Lee removes him from the case and assigns it to Prosecutor Oh. Jin Young asks Oh for a trial postponement, but Oh secretly meets with Deputy Chief Lee and prosecutes the suspect. Prosecutor Lee becomes the new head of the district attorney's office. Jin Young feels betrayed by Oh, believing justice was compromised. The conflict between Jin Young and Oh shocks their colleagues, escalating when Chief Lee slaps Jin Young. Overwhelmed, Chief Lee transfers Jin Young to the Civil Affairs Division. Though unsurprised by the decision, Jin Young is taken aback by the division's remote location. His new partner, Senior Prosecutor Park, has a unique personality. The peculiar tasks in the Civil Affairs Division add to Jin Young's frustration, but he remains dedicated to his job and continues investigating his previous case. Jin Young discovers that the person demanding an apology from him has ties to the murder victim and introduced her to a bar owner named Eugene Choi. Prosecutor Shin receives orders to investigate Choi for drug trafficking and illegal prostitution. Suspecting Chief Lee's protection of Choi, Jin Young and his allies infiltrate Choi's apartment but are discovered. Prosecutor Shin, unaware of Prosecutor Oh's knowledge, also leads a team to Choi's apartment. Jin Young's accomplice Jong-do hacks data, revealing photos of Choi with Chief Lee on the day of the murder. Lee, feeling threatened by Choi, assigns Prosecutor Oh to find Choi before Prosecutor Shin. Jin Young reaches Choi first and questions him about his connection to the murder and Chief Lee. Prosecutor Oh, meanwhile, instructs his assistant to file charges against Jin Young for assaulting CEO Kim. Choi is allowed to leave Jin Young's office. The next day, Chief Lee destroys photos linking him to the victim and orders Prosecutor Oh to supervise Prosecutor Kim. Prosecutor Shin suspects Chief Lee's protection of Choi. Jin Young focuses on Chief Lee, but Lee slaps Prosecutor Kim, furious at being targeted. Prosecutor Shin teams up with Jin Young to target Chief Lee, helping him escape interrogation and devising a plan to capture Choi. Despite Jin Young's efforts, Choi escapes. Fortunately, Jin Young had planted a tracking device on Choi's clothes. Prosecutor Oh discovers the device, aiding Choi's escape. Jong-do hacks Choi's phone, but abandons the attempt when Choi tries to flee, though he retrieves Choi's flight itinerary for future reference. Equipped with this new intel, Jin Young races to the airport and uses a fabricated report to halt the plane's departure. When Eugene Choi exits the plane, Jin Young chases him despite Eugene's attempts to mislead him. As Jin Young catches Eugene, airport authorities detain him due to the false report. Meanwhile, on the eve of Chief Lee's inauguration, his concern about Jin Young's meddling grows. Ironically, Jin Young enjoys a card game while in airport custody. Prosecutor Shin arrives, worried about Jin Young, unaware that he has already planned his escape before Chief Lee's ceremony. During the transfer to the police station, Jin Young fakes a stomachache and escapes from the restroom. He rushes to the inauguration, which has been delayed for an hour. As Chief Lee begins his speech, Jin Young surprises everyone by emerging from the podium. He calmly presents evidence linking Chief Lee to the Seotroda murder, revealing that Chief Lee was last seen with the victim. This revelation delays the inauguration and makes Chief Lee the main suspect. Chief Lee angrily blames Prosecutor Oh for incompetence, but Prosecutor Oh begins to suspect Chief Lee's involvement. Prosecutor Oh later meets Jin Young in the interrogation room, threatening to arrest him for breaking aviation laws. At that moment, Prosecutor Shin intervenes and frees Jin Young, who has been cleared of charges thanks to Prosecutor Kim. Prosecutor Shin urges Jin Young to solve the murder case implicating Chief Lee. Chief Lee confronts Prosecutor Kim, upset that Jin Young's sentence was commuted. Chief Lee accuses Prosecutor Kim of being hypocritical and aspiring to the Chief District Attorney position, which Chief Lee believes he deserves. Elsewhere, it's revealed that Yoonji, Jin Young's subordinate, leads an organization. She plans to step down to help Jin Young and orders her associates to watch Yoojin Choi while he is in Jin Young's custody. When Prosecutor Oh discovers Yoojin Choi's location, he orders his release and personally ensures his freedom. Yoojin Choi then retracts his accusation against Deputy Chief Lee, claiming he was coerced into lying. Jin Young faces charges for filing false reports, and Deputy Chief Lee feels relieved, confident he will secure his position. Secretly, Prosecutor Oh convinces Yoojin Choi to tell the truth about Deputy Chief Lee. Yoojin Choi asserts that Chief Lee is not the killer and provides a memory card with a photo of an unknown man meeting the victim after Chief Lee returned home. In another location, Jin Young plans to retrieve a flash drive, crucial evidence against Deputy Chief Lee in the Seotroda case. They install a hidden camera in a flower arrangement in Chief Lee's office. Jong-do disguises himself as a technician to access Chief Lee's computer room, while others create a distraction. Amid the chaos of a gas attack, Jin Young retrieves the USB from Chief Lee's safe, realizing the USB is missing. Chief Lee panics. The next day, Jin Young confronts Chief Lee, accusing him of tarnishing the prosecution office's reputation. Jin Young reveals that a photo of Chief Lee with a murder victim has leaked to the media and urges Chief Lee to come clean. Later, Jin Young examines the evidence at a restaurant and discovers the truth. He rushes to a meeting with Chief Lee, only to witness him jumping from a building. Chief Lee's death is reported as a suicide due to the disgrace from the case. This incident threatens Prosecutor Co, Chief Lee's favored son, who now faces scrutiny. Colleagues suspect Prosecutor Co might be transferred. In another setting, Jin Young tells Prosecutor Shin that Chief Lee is not the murderer, suspecting his death was not a suicide. Prosecutor Shin hands the investigation to the criminal division, urging Jin Young to follow procedure. However, Jin Young persists, determined to gather evidence supporting his suspicions. During a meeting, Prosecutor Shin and Prosecutor Kim discuss Jin Young's doubts about Chief Lee's death. Prosecutor Shin requests permission to investigate, and Prosecutor Kim agrees, taking responsibility for her actions. Later, Prosecutor Park notices Jin Young's absence. Jin Young and Prosecutor Shin review CCTV footage of Chief Lee's death and identify a suspicious person. Jin Young assigns Jong-do to retrieve Chief Lee's call history. Meanwhile, lawyer Seo's son recommends a new chief prosecutor to Minister Imi. Leveraging the safety of Minister Im's daughter, Jin Young becomes suspicious of a name in Chief Lee's call history linked to the Seotroda case. He discovers that the victim's friend, Han Subban, was contacted by Chief Lee regarding the victim's belongings, including a pet cat. This reminds Jin Young of finding cat fur at the crime scene. They realize Chief Lee was searching for an MP3 player that the cat had taken. Jin Young and Prosecutor Shin set out to find the MP3 player to connect Chief Lee's death to the Seotroda case. After reviewing Chief Lee's autopsy results, they find bruising and injection marks suggesting foul play, but the forensic doctor rules it a suicide. Jin Young remains convinced and revisits the death report, witnessing Jin Young's dedication. Prosecutor Park becomes interested and hints at the forensic doctor's background. Jin Young is more determined than ever with this new info. He meets Chief Lee's family at the funeral home and convinces Lee's daughter, Princess Lee, to agree to a second autopsy. At first, she's upset and blames Jin Young for reporting her dad. But she agrees after Jin Young explains his suspicions about her dad's death. They come up with a plan to swap Chief Lee's funeral coffin to avoid suspicion and successfully retrieve the body, almost forgetting to rescue Jung-do, who narrowly escapes the cremation machine. The next morning, Prosecutor Shin asks Prosecutor Kim for approval for the second autopsy. During the funeral with the empty coffin, Chief Lee's daughter remembers her dad got a suspicious yellow envelope during a recent appointment. Meanwhile, at the prosecutor's office, there's talk about the chief prosecutor position. Some colleagues underestimate Prosecutor Kim, thinking he's not ready. Overhearing, Kim reprimands them for gossiping instead of working. Prosecutor Park watches Kim, recalling their past collaboration. Elsewhere, lawyer Seo threatens Minister Im, who is worried about his daughter's surgery, handing him a file that needs immediate attention. Prosecutor Oh, aiming to secure his position, decides to show loyalty to Prosecutor Kim, expressing regret for siding with Chief Lee against Kim and vowing to prove his loyalty. Prosecutor Park reflects on his recent encounter with Chief Lee and tries to decipher an MP3 recorder given to him by Lee. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Kim, now appointed Chief District Attorney by lawyer Seo, enjoys his new role. The next day, Jin Young learns the truth about Chief Lee's body examination report, but Prosecutor Oh shows up with an arrest warrant, suspecting Jin Young of Lee's murder. Prosecutor Shin is shocked by Jin Young's arrest, based on security officers' testimony and a syringe with Lee's blood found in Jin Young's apartment. Despite the evidence, Jin Young believes he's being framed and is more determined to uncover the truth. Prosecutor Shin, upset by the case against Jin Young, believes in his innocence. However, Prosecutor Seo plans to indict Jin Young. Shin and Jung do advise Jin Young to stay silent during interrogation while they look for evidence to free him. Jin Young suspects Prosecutor Kim is behind Oh's actions, trying to trap him. He thinks the person framing him wants to stop his investigation into Lee's death. Chief Kim enjoys his prominent position and is revealed to have instructed Prosecutor Oh to indict Jin Young. Oh is determined to prove his loyalty to Kim. The next day, Jung-do sends Jin Young a special breakfast with a key hidden in the soup. Prosecutor Oh and his team chase Jin Young, but he escapes and contacts Jung-do, though Oh's men capture Jung-do. Undeterred, Jin Young warns Oh not to interfere and disposes of his phone to avoid being tracked. Chief Kim orders Prosecutor Shin to participate in Jin Young's arrest to protect the institution's image. Despite her disappointment, Shin complies. Later, lawyer Seo gives Kim a list of prosecutors he wants promoted, annoying Kim, who realizes Seo has been using him. Prosecutor Shin instructs Jung-do and Yang Kai to meet her to help locate Jin Young, since his entrapment threatens both her work and his safety. Assistant Prosecutor Shin learns Jin Young has taken Prosecutor Oh hostage. Jin Young, determined to find who set him up, confronts Oh and injures him before meeting Prosecutor Park. Jin Young sets up his new base at Park's place. Park is amazed by Jin Young's determination for revenge. Jin Young contacts Shin from a public phone, assuring her of his safety. Shin urges him to be careful and quickly identify who framed him. In the morning, Jin Young examines the case report on Lee's death. Intrigued by Lee's request for a meeting before the incident, he convinces Park to help him. Discovering methamphetamine in Lee's body, Park suspects the killer injected the drug to extract information before killing. Park advises Jin Young to start a fresh investigation to find Lee's real killer, likely the one who set up Jin Young. Jin Young starts searching for the drug source, bringing him back to Yoojin Choi. Jin Young gathers info about the drug dealer and gets a free phone from Yoojin Choi to expedite the search. Later, Jin Young visits home to retrieve his late dad's motorcycle and reunites with his mom, who missed him. Jung-do quickly identifies the city they need to search. They go to a nightclub to find a man with a dragon tattoo, but a police raid makes him escape. Jin Young chases him to a secret headquarters and secures a ledger with client info. The next day, lawyer Seo and his son discuss a case involving a wealthy corporation owner. Confident they control the Seoul District Attorney's office, Seo gets distracted learning Jin Young is closing in on a drug dealer. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Oh watches Shin's activities. When Shin meets Jin Young to get the ledger, Oh and his men chase them as Jin Young tries to escape again. A mysterious person suddenly jumps out and stabs Jin Young in the stomach while he's at his motorcycle. Jin Young remembers seeing blue gloves on this person earlier at a building posing as a nightclub. Luckily, Prosecutor Shin calls for help and saves Jin Young, but Prosecutor Oh finds blood at the scene too. Jin Young asks to be taken to Prosecutor Park's apartment for safety. There, a doctor who knows both of them treats Jin Young's injuries and tells Park to deal with his past and support Jin Young's recovery. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Oh reports on Jin Young's attack, suspecting Prosecutor Shin helped him escape. This news shocks Chief Kim, who didn't know about the attack. The next day, Jin Young, still weak, dreams about his father's fatal accident. His team, worried about him, visits. Jin Young believes his attacker is linked to Chief Lee's death and is determined to catch the culprit. Chief Kim scolds Prosecutor Shin for helping Jin Young and demands his location, claiming he wants to help since Prosecutor Oh found blood near Jin Young's motorcycle. But Shin doubts Kim's intentions and refuses, risking the consequences to protect Jin Young. Jin Young looks for evidence against his attacker, finding boot traces and instructing his team to track down Prosecutor Oh. They aim to find Oh's missing car, hoping it has valuable GPS data. Meanwhile, lawyer Seo threatens Chief Kim for not locating Jin Young. Kim had previously warned Seo not to act against Jin Young to avoid jeopardizing their position. Prosecutor Shin uncovers suspicious activity in the city ledger and illegal goods purchases. She finds out lawyer Seo's secretary bought illegal drugs the day before Chief Lee's death. Shin bravely requests a meeting with the secretary, but Seo's son blocks her. Undeterred, Shin insists on meeting Secretary T, revealing her intentions when given the chance. Seo's son reports her to his father, who orders T to gather information on Shin, suspecting she's helping Jin Young. Prosecutor Shin presents her findings, suspecting T is the mastermind they've been hunting. That night, during dinner, Prosecutor Park shocks Jin Young by naming him the prime suspect in Chief Lee's murder. Jin Young's mother, though stunned, still believes in her son and becomes cautious, noticing increased surveillance. The next day, Shin protests to Chief Kim, but he remains indifferent. Jung-do, pretending to fix his car, secretly retrieves the GPS device from Prosecutor Oh's vehicle. With the data, Jin Young identifies a suspicious bar far from Oh's home. Jung-do and An analyze the bar's CCTV footage and discover Chief Kim has been manipulating Oh all along. As pressure mounts on Shin for protecting Jin Young, she faces isolation. Despite trying to stay composed, she eventually confronts her disrespectful partner. Jin Young re-examines the Seoryodong murder case, suspecting Chief Kim manipulated him to secure the chief district attorney position. This realization fuels his determination for justice. Later, Jin Young sneaks into Prosecutor Oh's apartment and retrieves evidence of Oh and Chief Kim's conversation. Armed with proof, he exposes Chief Kim as the one who framed him. Shin, disappointed by the truth about her former leader, pretends to side with Kim while secretly planning with Jin Young to gather concrete evidence. Kim starts feeling remorseful seeing Shin's determination and disappointment, but decides to act against her. As Shin is about to leave, Jin Young appears with recorded footage from Shin's phone, revealing Kim's incriminating conversation. Kim is caught off guard. With the recording as evidence, Jin Young aims to reclaim his position and clear his name. He threatens to expose the recording to the media, which would ruin Kim's reputation. The next day, Jin Young returns to his duties with evidence of Kim's manipulation of Chief Lee's autopsy report. Prosecutor Oh, initially obstructive, is ordered by Kim to leave Jin Young alone. Kim, frustrated at Oh's failure to eliminate Jin Young, can only accept the unfair treatment. Lawyer Seo's son hears about Jin Young's return, causing worry for Seo. Jin Young presents evidence of Kim's involvement in the fraudulent autopsy report by a corrupt forensic expert tied to illegal gambling. Jin Young plans to catch the expert, knowing this night could be crucial. Prosecutor Shin, embracing her role as a symbol of justice, leads a raid on an illegal gambling den, capturing the expert and uncovering suspicious financial transactions. In the interrogation room, the forensic expert, cornered by evidence, confesses to his negligence, denying coercion or bribery. Jin Young and Shin feel disappointed by his deception. Chief Kim and Prosecutor Oh take over the interrogation, trying to control the situation. Jin Young, aware of Kim's fear, responds calmly and stages a clever scheme to gain the expert's trust. The expert, pressured by threats against his family, admits negligence but avoids implicating Kim. Guided to safety, the expert reveals to Jin Young and Shin his encounter with Oh and the pressure he faced. Jin Young and his team execute a plan to stage the expert's kidnapping, gaining his trust and securing vital information. Jin Young is determined to expose the truth and reclaim his position, fighting for justice against the corruption surrounding him. In another world, Chief Kim starts feeling the heat and asks lawyer Seo for help to protect himself from the tangled mess of the fake autopsy case surrounding Chief Lee's death. Unaware that Prosecutor Oh is secretly watching their meeting, Chief Kim doesn't realize how deeply Lawyer Seo's influence over him runs. Prosecutor Oh becomes more convinced of Lawyer Seo's power, and despite the risks, Lawyer Seo seems eager to get involved with Prosecutor Oh. With tensions rising, Chief Kim invites Jin Young to a fancy restaurant, hoping to form alliances and make connections. But Jin Young isn't interested in that. He's laser-focused on finding out who's behind the plot against him. Conversations between Chief Kim and Prosecutor Shin have hinted at Chief Kim's involvement, but he avoids telling Jin Young the truth. Chief Kim remains calm and confident, knowing he's silenced the expert with Lawyer Seo's help. Meanwhile, Lawyer Seo's hired men try to capture the forensic expert at Prosecutor Shin's family villa. Realizing the danger, Jin Young quickly steps in to protect Prosecutor Shin. Chief Kim seizes this chance to pressure Jin Young into resigning, but capturing Prosecutor Shin proves difficult as she shows her strength and independence, managing to escape and bumping into Jung-do and the team on her way to the villa. Frustrated with Chief Kim's actions, Prosecutor Shin reaches out to Jin Young, sharing her emotion. Jin Young listens calmly and, determined to expose Chief Kim's schemes, prepares to sign his resignation letter, smiling in victory, which unsettles Chief Kim. Prosecutor Shin, always thinking ahead, places her phone in the pocket of the captured forensic expert, setting the stage for their release. Prosecutor Park warns Chief Kim not to underestimate Jin Young, recognizing that Jin Young is different from anyone they've faced. Prosecutor Park also believes Lawyer Seo is at the center of everything. Remembering the tragedy he experienced, driven to uncover the truth, Prosecutor Park focuses on the MP3 recorder given to him by Chief Lee. Listening to its contents, he learns Chief Lee wanted to resign due to Lawyer Seo's influence. Seeing him as a menace within the prosecutor's office, Chief Lee gave Prosecutor Park the means to seek justice against Lawyer Seo, who was responsible for the tragedy in Chief Lee's family. This revelation strengthens Prosecutor Park's resolve to bring down Lawyer Seo. In a tense turn of events, Lawyer Seo's henchmen, along with a mysterious figure in blue gloves, try to make it look like the forensic expert took his own life. They drug him, planning to manipulate the scene. But just as things reach a critical point, Jin Young and his team arrive, ready for a showdown. A fierce battle ensues, with Jin Young fighting to free the forensic expert. In the chaos, Lawyer Seo's men escape, using the confusion to their advantage. Meanwhile, Assistant Prosecutor Oh cleverly invites Lawyer Seo. With hidden motives, the true intentions behind the invitation remain mysterious, leaving Lawyer Seo to ponder its implication. The next day, Jin Young confronts Chief Kim, accusing him of tampering with evidence in Chief Lee's death. Chief Kim stands silent as Prosecutor Shin enters with a rescued forensic expert. The combined evidence leaves Chief Kim with no room to deny or evade. Jin Young takes charge of the interrogation, determined to get the truth before Chief Kim is taken into custody and his case transferred to the Attorney General's office. Jin Young exposes the flaws in Chief Kim's path, a path of blind loyalty to power at the expense of justice. Chief Kim, momentarily shaken, clings to his belief that his actions were necessary to protect the institution's integrity, but Jin Young remains firm, vowing to show that true justice and fairness are what protect the prosecutor's office. As the investigation progresses, Prosecutor Oh faces a tough interrogation by the Attorney General. Knowing his close ties to Chief Kim will end his career, he feels the weight of the evidence against him. Despite the situation, Prosecutor Oh stays silent, possibly out of loyalty to Chief Kim or acceptance of his fate. His silence speaks volumes about the complex web of allegiances and choices that led them here. With urgency, Jin Young searches for Secretary Tate, who holds crucial information about Chief Lee's death. Despite obstacles from Lawyer Seo's son, Jin Young doesn't give up. He knows Secretary Ta's testimony is key to exposing the case's dark secrets. Eventually, Lawyer Seo's son reluctantly agrees to connect them with Secretary Ta. With caution, Jin Young questions her about her relationship with Chief Lee. Secretary Ta keeps her cool, claiming no connection and providing an alibi of being at the gym during the incident. Jin Young, still doubtful, lets her go, needing more evidence to push further. However, a surprising turn of events occurs when Jin Young tests her with a pencil. Observing her reaction closely, Secretary Ta's composed response reaffirms Jin Young's belief in her professionalism, leaving him to contemplate the intricate nature of the situation. Leaving the law firm, Jin Young and his team unexpectedly come face to face with Lawyer Seo. Realizing that Lawyer Seo knows Jin Young's role in Chief Kim's imprisonment adds more intrigue and danger to their investigation. Undeterred, Jin Young directs his team to dig deeper into Secretary Ta's background, determined to find the missing piece that would expose her as the mastermind behind Chief Lee's death and his attacker. In the days that follow, Jin Young hits a new snag. Prosecutor Park is worried about fitting Jin Young's team into the Civil Division office. To fix this, Chol Kai steps up to show off how awesome An Jai and Jung Do are. An Jai's martial arts skills and her background as the daughter of a famous gangster grab everyone's attention. Jung Do's hacking talents impress them too. Across town, Prosecutor Oh is having a rough time. He's trying to meet with Lawyer Seo, but gets brushed off by Seo's son. Then he remembers the recording from Yoo Jin Choi and notices a toy in Seo's son's possession. This makes Oh think Seo's son is the mysterious killer of the Seochadong victim. As things start to make sense, Prosecutor Park confronts Prosecutor Kim, who's now in jail. He hints to Kim that Lawyer Seo isn't loyal and mentions having something valuable that Chief Lee gave him before his death. Kim starts realizing Seo has been distancing himself. Meanwhile, Jin Young's team digs into Secretary Ta's past and finds her military history. Prosecutor Shin discovers the alibi tape Secretary Ta provided was altered. This strengthens Jin Young's belief that Ta is the culprit they've been after. Shin spots Ta's car's license plate from a previous encounter. Determined to uncover the truth, Jin Young and Shin search Secretary Ta's car and find a blood-stained boot hidden under the seat. They send it for DNA analysis. An Jai and Jung Do work on verifying the gym's CCTV footage. An Jai's connections get the gym owner to confess, unraveling the lies surrounding Secretary Ta. In a bold move, Prosecutor Oh sends evidence against Seo's son to Seo's office. Lawyer Seo, surprisingly pleased, reveals a hidden agenda. Meanwhile, Jin Young finds a yellow envelope with a hidden MP3 player while looking for his wooden sword. He confronts Prosecutor Park, who admits Chief Lee gave it to him. Park kept it hidden to protect everyone. Disappointed, Jin Young takes the MP3 player. Elsewhere, Lawyer Seo is dining with Prosecutor Oh when Secretary Ta gets a call from Jin Young asking to meet. Sensing an opportunity, Ta leaves and confronts Jin Young. Her military skills make her a tough opponent, and their fight escalates to a rooftop. Ta injects Jin Young with a drug, but he fights on, determined to win. Lawyer Seo, learning about Ta's arrest, feels only slightly annoyed at the prospect of finding a new driver. Prosecutor Oh, loyal to Seo, forms a new alliance with him. The next day, Secretary Ta stays silent during interrogation. Prosecutor Oh, now her lawyer, represents Seo's firm. Oh's true goal is to keep Ta in custody to protect Seo. Ta's loyalty leads to her downfall. Prosecutor Oh meets Shin and Jin Young, both upset he left the prosecutor's office. Jin Young's team cautiously tries to access the MP3 recorder's contents, hoping it holds clues about Chief Lee's death and Park Yi-young's murder. They find a secret folder protected by a password. Prosecutor Park visits Jin Young's father's grave, reminiscing about their bond and feeling proud of Jin Young. Meanwhile, Seo's son, Ko-han, shows arrogance and disdain for Prosecutor Oh, asserting his superiority. Oh, unfazed, is unimpressed by Ko-han's entitled attitude. Prosecutor Shin investigates Park Yi-young's social media and suspects she had a secret lover besides Chief Lee. After meeting Park Yi-young's best friend, she learns about the hidden boyfriend. Jin Young meets Yoo Jin Choi to uncover the truth about Park Yi-young's relationship, but finds out Choi has become a victim of human smuggling. Determined, Jin Young and Chol Kai rescue Choi, who then reveals Park Yi-young asked to be introduced to Chief Lee and wasn't attracted to older men. Choi believes Chief Lee wasn't responsible for her death and mentions an unidentified male visitor to her house on the night she died. Jin Young feels frustrated and betrayed as Choi had hidden this vital information. Elsewhere, Lawyer Seo visits Prosecutor Kim in prison, trying to intimidate him by threatening his family. Seo's ruthless tactics remind Kim of his disillusionment with Seo's loyalty. Kim tries to warn Prosecutor Oh about becoming a pawn in Seo's schemes. Shin uncovers a suspicious transaction involving the alleged murderer of Park Yi-young, who had bought an apartment at an inflated price. Jin Young finds hidden money and confronts the culprit, threatening to burn the cash unless he tells the truth. The man confesses to witnessing a violent struggle between Park Yi-young and an unidentified man on the night she died. Jin Young's conversation with the man is secretly recorded and sent to Ko-han, causing him to panic about his crimes being exposed. Ko-han's panic irritates his father, who finds him useless and troublesome. Jin Young is stuck trying to crack the password for a secret message on an MP3 player. Looking for help, He heads over to Prosecutor Park's apartment. Prosecutor Park was a close friend of his late father and inspired Jin Young to become a lawyer. Jin Young is convinced that lawyer Seo, the owner of Kingston law firm, is behind the incidents with the MP3 player and the cases involving Chief Lee and Chief Kim. Jin Young asks Prosecutor Park to explain how everything connects. Prosecutor Park starts recounting an old courtroom battle with lawyer Seo over a case involving victims of industrial waste. Although Park won the case for the victims, Seo managed to shift the blame onto an innocent employee, leaving the real culprit, the company's owner, untouched. Prosecutor Park wanted to hold Seo accountable, but Deputy Chief Lee stopped him, saying Seo was untouchable. As a result, Park was unfairly transferred to the civil division because of Deputy Chief Lee's self-interest and desire to protect Seo. One night, Jin Young's father, a dedicated reporter, contacted Prosecutor Park with evidence to bring down lawyer Seo, but then tragedy struck. Jin Young's father had an accident, similar to what happened to Chief Lee, who also died shortly after passing the MP3 player to Jin Young's father. These events deepened the mystery around lawyer Seo's involvement. Amidst this chaos, lawyer Seo unexpectedly visits Prosecutor Park's house, threatening Jin Young's mother and hinting at potential danger because of Jin Young's actions. Jin Young quickly checks on his mom, ensures she's okay, and decides to have her temporarily hospitalized for protection, determined to bring down lawyer Seo. Jin Young seeks Prosecutor Oh's help to get a black box from Yoo Jin Choi. Meanwhile, Seo's son, Ko-han, continues to belittle Prosecutor Oh, even physically assaulting him. Jin Young steps in to prevent further harm. In a twist, Prosecutor Oh willingly hands over the memory card with the recording to Jin Young. Feeling that Ko-han has crossed a line, Jin Young is surprised by Oh's sudden cooperation and questions his motives. As Jin Young pieces things together, he recalls a courier's description of a soft-spoken man with a spinner toy, matching Ko-han. Urging his team to dig deeper, An-jae and Jung-do find a golden spinner toy in Ko-han's gym bag, confirming their suspicions. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Shin and Chul-kai investigate the hospital where Park Yi-young was treated and find signs of a struggle, deepening their suspicions as Ko-han shows up with a wounded hand. Jin Young realizes the password for the MP3 player must be connected to his father. Despite resistance from the chief prosecutor, influenced by lawyer Seo, Jin Young, with support from prosecutors Park and Kim, gets an arrest warrant for Ko-han. Prosecutor Park assures Prosecutor Kim that this time they will succeed in getting justice. On the other side, lawyer Seo urges his son to turn himself in to face the consequences. Jin Young and his team capture Ko-han, but he remains silent during interrogation. The urgency to unlock the MP3 player grows. Jin Young finally cracks the password, linked to his father's beloved motorcycle and the date it was bought. In Prosecutor Park's presence, Jin Young reveals the MP3 contents. It captures lawyer Seo killing an employee from a major company. The emotional recording shocks Jin Young and Prosecutor Park, highlighting Seo's monstrous nature. Prosecutor Park advises Jin Young to prioritize his mother's safety. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Park contacts lawyer Seo, pretending to hand over the MP3 recorder with a condition. Seo must promise not to harm Jin Young and his family. Seo pretends to accept, but then attacks Park, instructing Prosecutor Oh to handle the situation. Jin Young rushes to the scene after hearing about Prosecutor Park's death, consumed by anger and disappointment. Memories of their bond intensify his determination for justice. He suspects lawyer Seo's involvement, recalling Park's secret act of swapping the MP3 recorder. At Prosecutor Park's funeral, Jin Young confronts lawyer Seo, vowing to bring him to justice. Seo, now possessing the MP3 recorder, erases any incriminating evidence. Ko-han is released due to insufficient evidence, frustrating Prosecutor Oh. Jin Young searches the Civil Division office where Prosecutor Park was killed, hoping to find clues. He finds a missing statue of justice with a bloodstain. Prosecutor Oh secretly photographs the item and informs lawyer Seo. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Shin gets a forensic report confirming Seo's fingerprints on the statue. Filled with emotion, Jin Young rushes to Seo's office, but finds him absent. Encountering Ko-han, he unleashes his frustration, instructing Ko-han to tell his father he has undeniable proof of Seo's crimes. Seo manipulates the situation, convincing the chief prosecutor to temporarily restrain Jin Young. Jin Young, with a heavy heart, enters prison, bearing the news of Prosecutor Park's death. He pleads with Prosecutor Kim to reveal secrets about lawyer Seo, but Prosecutor Kim is disappointed in Jin Young, blaming his impulsive actions for the deaths of Chief Lee and Prosecutor Park. Prosecutor Kim, totally fed up, spills about a secret room where lawyer Seo keeps all his case files. Seo Seo uses these documents to manipulate powerful people whose cases he's won, earning their respect and protection. The problem is, Prosecutor Kim doesn't know exactly where this room is. It turns out, Lawyer Seo has been storing his files in an old, forgotten library hidden in the city. The shelves are packed with stories of his manipulations and buried truths. Lawyer Seo reaches out to Jin Young, suggesting a truce. He tempts Jin Young with power, hoping to make him an ally, but Jin Young is determined to take Seo down for justice. In a surprising move, Lawyer Seo strikes first, reporting Jin Young's team to the police and the High Prosecutor's office. Suddenly, Jin Young's team faces potential ruin. Furious, Prosecutor Shin gets called by the High Prosecutor and urges Jin Young to not let Lawyer Seo get away. In the chaos, Ko-han seizes her chance for revenge. She kidnaps Jin Young to force him to reveal evidence of her father's involvement in Prosecutor Park's death. As darkness closes in, Jin Young's team rallies. Chul Kai and Prosecutor Shin plan to free On Jae and Jung Do to join the fight. Fueled by vengeance, Jin Young confronts Ko-han, unleashing fury until she's unconscious. A week later, Ko-han wakes in the hospital to find Jin Young standing over her. He reveals her father's capture and reports her as Park Yi-young's killer, a sacrifice her father made. Overwhelmed, Ko-han realizes her father's betrayal. Jin Young promises to help her escape if she reveals her father's secret archives. With no choice, Ko-han spills, hoping for freedom. Armed with this, Jin Young traps Ko-han. Wasting no time, determined, he heads to Seo's secret archives, ready to unveil the truth. Lawyer Seo's world crumbles. He orders Lawyer Oh to eliminate Jin Young, but Lawyer Oh turns and aims at Seo. Jin Young and Lawyer Oh secretly work together. They plant inconsistencies to test Seo's trust. Betrayed, they find themselves in a trap, but break free, overpowering Seo's men. Reuniting, Jin Young reveals his alliance with Lawyer Oh, shocking their team. United, they plot revenge, discovering Seo's files being transported. On Jae and Jung Do disguise, storming the area. Jin Young takes down foes, securing evidence to bring Seo to justice. Lawyer Oh stops his assistant, saving the files. Together, they protect evidence of Seo's crimes. With files secure, Jin Young confronts Seo. In court, Jin Young accuses Seo of Chief Lee's murder. Prosecutor Kim testifies, Seo denies, claiming Prosecutor Kim acted from loyalty. Jin Young calls Secretary T, but Seo counters her confession. Prosecutor Park testifies, revealing he's alive. Lawyer Oh presents Seo's assault evidence. The courtroom learns Seo orchestrated crimes. Jin Young calls for Seo's penalty. The courtroom falls silent. Ko-han awaits trial. Prosecutor Shin's promoted. Jin Young's moved to civil division. Disappointed, he finds new freedom to pursue justice, opening new possibilities for his team. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below with your suggestions for future videos, any questions you have, or just to say hi. Your feedback is super important to us and helps us create better content for you. Also, feel free to share this video with your friends, family, and on social media. It really makes a big difference and helps our community grow. You can follow us on Insert your social media handles for more updates and behind-the-scenes content. Thanks again for your support, and we'll see you in the next video.